Favor Engineering today, and they are moving on schedule. However, the rain's affecting some of the work being done outside right now. The Geo people were out here and they did some welling and tested the berms. That initial report is in the favor right now. They're redoing that and asking questions and validating some of the conclusions that came out of that. The survey is ongoing, should be complete this week, and then the as-built drawings should be next week. Favor's also collected all the information, the background for DEP, some chronology and different items going on there. We expect to have a engineering workshop late next week or early the week after to sit down with Favor and go over all the results and everything before we would go to DEP. So I would say we're a couple weeks out before we get a good handle on just what we think the direction is for the future.
Excellent. Can you send me a note of that meeting?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, the next committee, nominating committee. Beth, click on.
Thanks. I emailed all the members and told them tomorrow night will be our first meeting to set up the boundaries and how we're going to run it. And I understand there's only one person so far. I hope we get more than one person on the board, because it'll be kind of, although it'll be kind of simple then.
Yeah.
But yeah, tomorrow night is when we're going to have it. And it's been posted, I understand, so thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, okay, can we have quiet now, please, so we can listen to everybody? Social committee?
I'll give you some.
Well, she's
here? Okay.
Yeah.
I know you was here. Sorry. I got to take it up. No. I don't want.
We have several things to talk about. First, I want to extend an appreciation for the support that you give the social community. It makes a big, big difference. And I want to thank the community. We've had so much support from all of you guys. So I want to recognize there were a lot of donors for the Easter event. Is there anyone in here that donated or worked the Easter event? I'd like to recognize you. Thank you very much, Earl, Alex. It makes a big difference. We put in a lot of work that we could not do without the support of you guys. We had a great Easter event, and this place was shoulder to shoulder packed. So I want to thank everyone that participated, everyone that came, all the kids that came, and I also want to thank Sandy. Your advertising makes a big difference. It helps us get the word out. So for our appreciation for all of that, it makes a difference. And again, it takes everybody, and everyone is huge on that. We had great Facebook advertising, Holly by the Sea News advertising. The signs were made by Andre Jones. He does a great job. He's getting all the response. That's how a lot of people are also hearing about it. So again, it's everybody that's valuable. I'd like to share with our next event. So if you can help us by getting the word out, the next event is the Mother's Day Brunch. We do have the beach house scheduled for May 3rd. That's a Sunday. So if everyone can mark their calendars, please attend. We're going to have a great, great event. We'll have food. We'll have the whole works. So please put that on your calendar and help us spread the word for that event. In addition to the Mother's Day event, we are planning a lot of summer activities. We're looking at the Flick and Floats that happened again this year, and several of them that was real popular the last few years, and burger bashes as well. So pay attention to the news. We'll get the details out to you, and keep your eyes open for that. In addition, I'd like to also say that we did get a lot of people that are saying they're interested in joining the social committee. We are always welcome to have anyone attend. It is free. You don't have to pay. So please come. It's a lot of fun. And anybody that comes or is interested in joining, please contact me at community.d, D as in Denise, Myers, MYERS @gmail.com. Again, that's community.dmyers @gmail.com. And we will get you the information. And the last item is we have these great shirts that Alex is wearing. These are super new shirts that we just got. If you would like one, we'd love for the community to wear them. They are $25 a shirt. However, I have a deal. You can get it for free if you join this social committee. Okay, so you can do that as well. So anyways, thank you, and thanks for your support.
Thank you, Denise. Can I have the ADA committee, please? Task force, whatever it's called.
Hi,
Click on.
I have one of these for each of you. It's got a lot of information. An extra one for the committee member who is missing, and then if anybody wants to make copies and then it's interested. I'm going to give a little bit of background. As a private association, while there was some question, I think, last summer about whether we were a private or a public association or rec center due to some issues with the swimming team and how they were accessing the pool. And there were some changes made. I'm sorry.
That's it.
There were some changes made to that so that we feel confident now, I believe the board does, that we're considered a private association or a private rec center.
Excuse me, let's stop right there. My name is Chris Kale. I've spoken to the Department of Justice and the Department of the Governor's Office of Disabled Americans for the ADA in the state of Florida. There is a statute, 553, that states any private club has to abide by ADA laws of 2010. So your information is wrong.
Well, I called the Department of Justice today, and they told me that her information is correct.
You're full of, it doesn't matter what the Department of Justice says. State of Florida. You want to get into this legal battle?
This is a federal rule.
Okay.
Right now, and I did my report,
Okay, give
and
your
then you
report.
guys
Okay.
can fight about that, because I'm just going by what the board has told me,
Okay.
and then I follow the
Okay,
directive
no
that
problem.
they gave me. Okay, thank you.
You called the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
I don't consider that, I don't.
No,
I don't
no, no, not you,
consider
no,
it
no,
being
no, no,
ADA.
you.
Sir, please, can we allow Ms. Vogler to
I'm
speak?
not going to take on that liability for this on subdivision, I'll just say that right now. But at any rate, so I was asked, and I came into this committee a little bit after it was formed. I think some work had already been done, but I was asked to look into what we could do to make our recreation center more accessible to those of us who are handicapped in our membership. And so one thing that I was asked to look at was pool lifts. Another thing I was asked to look at were possibly push-button door openers on the front and back doors. When I came into the committee, I thought we had a little bit more information on pool lifts, so I decided to kind of attack that first. It ended up being more complicated, of course, than I thought it would be, but I do have some information now to talk about the pool lifts. First of all, one thing we talked about is that if we were going to make improvements to the property, that we would try to, where practical, comply with ADA requirements in case our status became public at some point. So I have considered that in my recommendations to the board. Currently, the ADA requirements are that pools of the size that we have out there, that they provide 2 accessible means of entry and exit. One of those has to be a pool lift or a sloped entry, and the other one can be stairs or a transfer wall or system. A pool lift must be fixed during regular business hours, so a portable lift that we move back and forth won't really satisfy ADA requirements, because it would have to be fixed at each pool in order to satisfy that requirement. Any pool lift that is a fixed pool lift that we put out here is going to require that the concrete pad be poured under the brick pavers and that it be attached, and I'm not a concrete person, so to the rebar, whatever that means. But it's going to be a pretty heavy concrete job in order to fix the pool lift, because we don't have a concrete deck out there. We just have these brick pavers set in sand. So we looked into different products, and we have decided, because we contacted 4 different vendors, and 3 of them recommended Aqua Creek products for pool lifts, that was the equipment that we were going to look into. And after researching the different models, the committee recommends that the association install a Pro Pool Lift model at the main family pool. What we have heard from membership is that that's the pool that they're most interested in accessing versus the lap pool. And given the expense, we kind of think that maybe we want to see what kind of usage we get before we commit to buying two and putting one in each pool.
Okay, I'm sorry, Miss, did you say put it by the pool?
No, this
pool, families.
the family pool, okay? This lift, as all the Aqua Creek product lifts are, is ADA certified. It has a lifting capacity of 450 pounds, and it has a 5-year prorated electronics warranty and a limited lifetime structural warranty. As I said, the concrete pad would need to be poured underneath, the brick pavers could be reset on top, and then the only things that you would see above the pavers would be the anchoring pins that you would need for the pool lift. I do have a link here that I had hoped that we could be able to access, so I could kind of show you on their website how the product works, but if anybody's interested, I have this website up here that you could go to and look at it. We also looked at 2 other pool lifts, but for various reasons we decided against them. The model that was called the Patriot model, it's a portable pool lift, but the Aqua Creek representative thought it would be kind of difficult to move across our brick pavers since we don't have a poured concrete surface, particularly for someone who was smaller. It would also be because of the tank that is filled with sand on the portable ones. It would also be unwieldy if we tried to use it under the dome, and it would take up more deck space, whichever pool that we used it at. And then there was another one called the Ranger that was a fixed pool lift that was cheaper, but it had only a 350-pound lifting capacity, and it only had a 2-year warranty on both the electronics and the structural part of the lift. And we thought that given the expense involved, that just wasn't sufficient.
And looking at that one there on the left, that's the same thing, I guess, but is that what we're thinking of getting?
We're talking about the one on the right.
Okay, Tom, right. So I'm just curious, I deal with disabled people, and I'm looking at that, and I've seen others, and I just, does somebody have to help a person?
They should, because both of the arms on this one you can lift. I'm sorry.
Speaking to the
I
mic.
talk with my hands, I'm sorry. The arms on that you can lift, so a disabled person should be able to, arrange the arms of their wheelchair and be able to move themselves onto that lift.
Okay, so a person confined to a wheelchair, but has upper body mobility,
Correct.
Should be able to use that.
Correct, and then there's a push button that they use to lower themselves into the pool and then later to take themselves out of the pool. And again, I have this website here that you can go out and they actually show people using the lifts on a video.
Okay, you said it's the one on the right, so it's not the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the one on the right, that hangs over the wall, I don't see how.
It doesn't hang over, it just sets on the side of the pool like this, like if this is the side of the pool, it sets until somebody needs to use it, and then you push the button and the arm lifts and puts you over.
And we don't have to have, somebody said to me today, I don't know if it's true or not.
You have to cut one of them off.
Somebody said to me today, we have to have somebody available to help people, and they have to be licensed. Did you hear anything like that?
No. No, this is someone who has the upper body strength to use this pool lift is able to use it independently.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about a person being licensed who has to help that person to use this? Okay.
Can I ask a question, because I know you have an advisor on your committee,
Yes,
who would be using this?
yes.
This is a young man that, is in a wheelchair. Could he use this?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I have a quick question. What about people who are confined to wheelchairs that do not have the upper body strength? There is a lift that can actually lower a wheelchair into the pool and out of the pool. There's many citizens that have cerebral palsy, muscular dystrophy, muscular sclerosis, that do not have the upper body strength to lift themselves out of their wheelchair into that lift. How are you gonna make accommodations for them?
I mean, that didn't come up in any of the research that I did on standardly installed pool lifts. I mean, that wasn't on any of the information I looked at from the various vendors. But if you would like to join the committee and you have information on that, we'd love to have another body.
Yeah.
Put up a wine out. Yeah, I'll come on there.
Okay, I'm not scared. So, I mean, do you want to give your name and number after this? We'd love to have another member, because I've been doing a lot of stuff.
Did you say that, it couldn't be used on the lap pool? Was that why you said the family pool? Could you explain
Well,
that?
I think that the member that you're talking about, who is disabled and in a wheelchair on the committee, I think other members are a little bit more comfortable talking to him about what they're interested in than maybe myself. And that it sounds like from what he's telling me that this family pool is what the members are more interested in accessing, that it's deeper. But that particular pool lift can be used at this pool, but you would have to use a different model at this pool, and that's because the coping, which is that inside edge that we have on each of the pools, it's about 2 inches wider over here than it is over here, so you would have to get one that had a longer reach for that pool, for the lap pool. And that would, with this particular vendor, either entail moving down to the lift that only has a 350-pound lifting range and the 2-year warranty, or moving up a couple thousand in the price of equipment to get a lift that has a 600-pound lifting capacity.
Yeah, I know we actually have a member who it probably would need this.
Support it.
Yeah.
And you also have to take into consideration that when the person's wet and the equipment is wet and you're trying to pull them out, it's a little bit heavier than maybe when they went in and everything was dry.
I'm sorry, Alex, what did you just say? I'm sorry, what did you just say?
I said, I know we have a member who would need this limit of
The
weight.
450 versus 350, I think.
Than
is
the
what it is.
350.
Oh, the weight wise.
Tiny bit.
So there were 3 vendors identified that we requested bids from on the pool lift once we finally decided on a model.
Okay.
We looked at American Ramp Systems, I'm going to shorten their name to AMRAMS, that's what they go by, Horizon Homes, and R&M Mobility. American Ramp Systems can get us the pool lift, and they can, once the concrete pad is installed, or is poured, then they can install it and show us how to use it, but they can't pour the concrete. So the bid that I have from them that is just for the pool lift and the installation once the concrete pad is installed and the anchors are there is for $55.82, but it's not complete because it doesn't include the concrete work. The 2 that did include the concrete work are Horizon Homes and R&M Mobility. Horizon Homes is in at $8,820 all in, and R&M Mobility is in at $8,465 all in. Now that doesn't include tax, and the other things that it doesn't include that we might want to consider or probably would want are a pool lift cover at approximately $160. Horizon Homes recommended that we put in a solar panel or a charger on it at $465 approximately, and then we can also get a spare battery pack with a charger for $280 approximately. I should note that the equipment itself is ADA certified and is an ADA certified piece of equipment. If we would ever have a dead battery on the thing, there is a crank or turn handle that you can use in an emergency to get someone out of the pool. So it's not like we'd be having to go in and swim somebody out.
What's your thought on the solar?
And you're gonna have to double that because you have a dome on the pool. To be ADA compliant, just put it on the family pool is out of ADA compliance because you have now, in the winter months, not allowed handicapped people to use the dome. So double it or triple it.
Well, again, we don't have to be ADA compliant.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what
we
I was
don't.
told going in, so that's what my report is based on, and frankly, you guys can fight about this, I don't know with my kids.
Go, because I will. And I know that you could not have contacted the Department of Justice and gotten an answer today.
And I do know, I will say this, that I do know that some former members of this committee did go through here with an ADA
And
compliance
they
consultant.
did do that before 2010?
No, they didn't, they did that last fall.
Okay. And
You did that last fall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna speak as soon as I get an opportunity. So we're putting the cart before the horse right
I was going to ask that actually.
now. Is that in trying to, I don't believe that this committee, at least from what I know about what work that they've done since I left the committee in October, and I spoke to the Tri-County representative today about whether or not anybody from Holly by the Sea had been in contact with her since I last spoke to her, and she said no, about the priorities of where we're trying to move on this issue.
Are you saying that the pool is the wrong place to start?
Can you get up, Bill?
You want me to come up?
Okay, I'm gonna say something real quickly. We do have a bid on the, I've heard that this could come up about the front door openers and the back door openers. We do have one bid on that. It's going to run $7,000 to $7,500 for this particular door opener that is powered by opening the door 6 times, and then that's supposed to power the push button for the day. So that's how much that, we have one bid. That's how much one bid for that is. But I will say this, according to what I understood from prior committee members, that when the ADA consultant went through here, that our doors are ADA compliant in terms of their width, in terms of the force that it takes to open them, in terms of the threshold that you have to get over. So if ADA compliance is the issue, that's one thing. If accessibility is the issue, that's another thing. Zach has come up here, he can get in these doors. He can't get in the pool.
Right.
Most people would be more than willing to open the door for someone to get in this facility, or open that door for someone to get out to the pool, even if they couldn't. But nobody is going to take on the liability to lift somebody up from a wheelchair, put them in that pool, and then take them back out. That might not be politically correct, but that's reality.
And
So,
I'm sorry, you were talking about doors, $7,000 for the front door and $7,000?
no, together.
Okay.
Combined $7,000 to $7,500. I've got one bid for around $7,000.
And the ones that we open, have we considered, I'm sorry if I'm getting off track, have we considered the ones that slide open like we go to Publix or Walgreens?
No, I have not looked into that.
Would that be, would you have any thoughts as to whether or not that would be?
I would guess that would be more expensive, and it's also going to require extensive electrical work, which I don't know how difficult that's going to be to get there, but that's not something I've looked into.
Okay.
Real quick before I sit down and let everybody go at this, R&M Mobility currently has a 2-month lead time. Horizon Homes lead time is 30 to 45 days. Both would require a deposit prior to ordering equipment, and both would be responsible for pulling all permits required to install the lifts and ensuring that the lift is installed according to the manufacturer's specifications.
So your recommendation though was Horizon?
I don't have a strong feeling on these 2 vendors. They're separated by less than $400. I mean, R&M Mobility, this is their wheelhouse kind of handicapped accessibility. They do ramps to people's house and all that kind of stuff too, while Horizon Homes is more of a generalist. But I think Horizon Homes may have more experience with this particular brand than R&M Mobility does. So, and I will say that Horizon Homes has also provided us with a bid for the doors. That's something else that they can do, although they've indicated that they're not really going to give us a package discount because they said they've already been as competitive as they can in the bidding situation. And they've also provided a bid to do some changes to bathrooms to make them compliant with ADA.
Okay, further questions? Does the, on the Horizon, the part with the solar, I don't remember if you had a chance to answer my question before. 2 things, do you recommend that, and is that 454 included in the 9,434?
It's included in the 9,434, but if you look back to the prices that I quoted, I took that out because I wanted to make everybody equal on my spreadsheet. So the people that didn't have that had a cover included, I pulled it out. I pulled out his solar just because the other people didn't have it included.
So if I go through this package tomorrow, I'll see some of those other things you said that were possibly recommended but not in these prices.
Correct. Yeah, and that's all in my summary, easily as well.
Thank you, Tammy.
Building Hill 2418 Pine Needle. I served previously on the ADA task force when it was first established, along with Frank Johnson, and Zach Prosser was an advisor to that committee because he's not an actual member of the committee. He is handicapped in a wheelchair and he can utilize this device. However, my biggest concern is that when we look at ADA issues, some people are saying now that we don't have to comply with it, but the letter that we received from our attorney at the time and I have a copy of it. I suspect all of you have a copy of it. I won't read the whole thing. It's dated the 26th of August. It basically says, you've asked me to provide your opinion regarding whether the pool owned by Holly by the Sea Improvement Association must comply with the American with Disabilities Act. In summary, because the Holly by the Sea swimming pool is open to members of a public high school swim team, it will likely qualify as a public accommodation under the ADA and therefore should comply. The application of the ADA can be very confusing, and it can also be very costly to be on the wrong side of the issue. We believe, and this was the attorney, as we have suggested before, that the conservative approach is to view the board's decision to let the high school swim team use the facility as a decision to make the pool public for purposes of ADA compliance. Should you have any additional questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. And this was from Michelle Anchors when she was the association attorney. I would just say, I don't know if you have a new determination, but it's been my experience that if you ask attorney a question, or you tell an attorney what answer you want, the way you ask that question is the way you'll get that answer. There is no doubt in my mind that if somebody goes in and files a claim, an ADA claim against this facility, that we will be held in violation of it. And Ms. Sherry, I don't remember her last name now, I spoke to her today, but she came out here and made a tour of this facility and gave us some recommendations on doing things. And the priorities, as what she stated to me today, were the same that the ADA task force come up with back in October. And that was number one, this facility, the first thing we have to address is the parking outside, and to be able to accommodate people once they get up to the facility, and then to get from the parking lot into the facility by themselves unassisted. They're not supposed to have to call somebody and say, I need help, can you open the door, can you push me up there, or whatever.
Our front door and our back door meet ADA standards for the front back door.
Yeah. They do not. They do not. What you just said is false. Okay, and you can ask, you weren't on the tour with us when we went around here, but you asked the people that give us the estimates. They're not ADA compliant because they don't open by themselves. Now they give us, one of the contractors that she talked about gave us bids for addressing everything. Our restrooms are not ADA compliant. They have some extra space, but they don't have the actual space that you could go in there with a wheelchair and do a 360, which is a requirement. That I believe we need a pool lift out there. And that's why that I pushed for it when we were working on the budget back in September last year, is to set those funds aside, is don't nickel and dime this, but go ahead and do the initial things to accomplish it, whether or not it's required or not, because it's the right thing to do. And it doesn't make a difference whether Zach is a member or whatever. He's authorized to use this facility, and we should accommodate, not just him, but there's other people out there too, that in all probability would use it if it was available. It doesn't cost that much. We wasted $55,000 down here throwing it in the sound. You could have all this work done for less than that $55,000. Somebody needs to contact this lady and get themselves up to date. Provide the board a priority list of what needs to be done and how much the total package is.
So you're saying that you have to start with the parking lot?
No.
The parking lot, you have ADA spaces out there. You don't have the number of spaces required. When you're talking about 4,718 properties out there, you don't have the number to address that. You have some out there. So that is something, and there can be a plan whenever the parking lot is done that you add additional spots.
All right, so you think we should go there, then the door?
Me personally,
Yeah.
that if I was making a decision, it would be the first thing we would do is do something where there are automatic door openers down here. There's automatic door openers down here. And then go with a pool lift. And the employees here, the maintenance team, they did some adjustments in the restroom to increase the space availability, but still it's not in compliance.
There's another requirement that the doors, as you open them, there's a certain weight that you're supposed to be able to push or pull on that door, and it's not supposed to be over whatever that poundage is. To the best of my knowledge, that hasn't even been tested. So I'm just saying that these are nice. Our association needs these. They should have got them a long time ago, but there's other things that need to be done also. And that,
Can I get a copy of that letter so we can?
from the attorney?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if the new attorney has provided a new letter. Now, the
we
reason,
haven't- can
let
I-
me just state this. The reason that I say this about attorneys is because this same attorney, just a couple of years ago, provided a letter saying that we didn't have to meet it. But things have changed since 2010 with ADA. And I'm disabled. I could go file a claim against us, and there's no doubt I would win. But who's gonna pay for it? It's our members, and that's not right. What we should do as members is go ahead and fix the problem, but do it right.
Okay. When that letter came from the attorney, if you remember, there was discussion with the Navarre High School team, and I was most strongly against them being given carte blanche to come in without guest passes. They used guest passes, and they were therefore guests. The previous year, they'd been allowed to come in without any guest passes. And that would define us as a public facility. If the facility is only used by members and their guests, and if we do not charge, if we do not sell passes or anything like that, we are a private facility. That's what was told to me when I called the ADA in Washington, the Americans with Disability Act in Washington.
Okay, one question.
We have, just a minute, sir. We have flipped back, and I think you absolutely recall, we flipped back between being a private and a public and whatever. And at the time, when we had this discussion with the Navarre High School, I called about 5 times to Washington to ask about this. And you can be both. You can be the 2 weeks that you've got it open to anybody can come in, then you're public. And obviously, if somebody sues you because you're not ADA compliant, then you're in trouble. But if you keep your facility, if you keep your pool only for the use of members and their guests, we don't have to be ADA compliant. And I specifically said this. I said it's the right thing to do, and I firmly believe that, to allow our members to be able to use the facility, to use the pool. This has been on the agenda one way or another for more than a year. And people like Zach and some of the other people, there's a little girl with muscular dystrophy, there's another gentleman. It seems to me very, very sad if we can't at least provide, whether we call it ADA compliant or not, a means for them to be able to use the pool like other members. Thank you.
Well, okay, I disagree with your position about the attorney. You can't flip back and forth between we have to be ADA compliant or we don't have to be. We set the stage for it. The attorney told us that. We can't go and say, well, we're going to change that policy of the swim team, and now they got to do something else. People come in here to play tennis. The facility itself, you can't pick out, okay, just the swimming pool portion of it, that we're going to try to make ADA compliant. You know, you as the board, you can make the decision and do what you want. But I tell you, if you take this approach, I will file a complaint, an ADA complaint against this facility. Okay, you or somebody needs to call Sherry Myers. You know, this has sit there since last summer. And you jumped on board and you wanted to go with this. And then it just kind of died. But when you do it, you need to do it the right way. And maybe one person or 2 people can benefit by the use of that device out there. Every member that comes up here has to come through that door.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll get you a copy.
Thank you.
The first thing I want to say is, I also called Washington DC a while ago. And again, like Billy said, it depends on what you say to them. I told them both things. I told them that people were using the pool, and people were playing tennis to outsiders. And his first thing was, there's no question to him. His first thing was, there is no question that it is an open thing. He would guess, because you're allowing the general public in. But that really, I don't think is the question. When I was on the board, I was the only one who voted to have ADA accessibility. To me, that's one of the saddest things I've ever seen from a bunch of homeowners and board members, that they would turn the other way for those that need help. I find it sickening that people would ask the question during those board meetings, well, how many crippled people do we have? How many disabled people do we have? It wasn't how do we help them, it's how many do we have. You can't rely on whether it's 1 or 100 or 1,000 or 100,000. Those are the people that need help. Our things as humans is to do the right thing and to help other human beings that can't do the things we get to do. It's a shame to look the other way, and I'm happy that you have addressed it. I happen to be disabled too, but I get along pretty good. And it's not about me, it's about people that can't do what I do. And they can't do what you all do. They can't open doors. They can't swim in pools. They can't get up driveways. And I think about them, and I thought about them then. It's a shame that that board didn't do what you're gonna do. And I thank you.
I'm just going to give you a little information. You keep saying that you talked to DOJ on this, and it's a private and public and everything. February 19th, 2012, state of Florida, private clubs under Title III of the Americans with Disabilities Act, state of Florida. Private clubs which are defined to have restrictive membership policies and considerable dues are typically not required to comply with the ADA. However, if a pool is open to non-members, they must comply. Non-members. Further, states can be more stringent if they choose. Florida, for example, does not exclude private clubs from ADA compliance. So the information that you're getting, your attorneys are not looking to where they need to go. One call to Tallahassee, a couple calls to DOJ in Washington, D.C., a couple calls to the 4th Circuit for Americans with Disabilities in the Southeast Conference will get you the information. And it's cut and dry. I've already called the DOJ. I've already, on behalf of my daughter, we're going to start an investigation on this facility. It's $55,000 per instance, plus the fines on a daily basis, retroactive from 2010. It's real easy. You need 2 lifts in the main pool, 2 lifts in the lap pool. If we can't come up with $20,000, you need to disband and you guys need to resign. Cut and dry.
Okay, you don't need 2 lifts for each pool.
300, what is the perimeter of the pools? Is it less than 300 feet, linear feet?
No.
They're more than 300 linear feet. You need 1 lift for less than 300
I
linear
wish
feet?
I brought it with me, but if you're less than, you only need 1 point potentially. If you're more than, you need 2 points
Right.
potentially.
300
and
square-
stairs count as one of those points.
If they are able to be negotiated by a
Okay,
But
this
you
is,
know, and I'm not gonna argue this with you again because my directive was access, not ADA compliance. And I think the whole private and public thing is gonna be settled by someone else than me.
okay, Mr. Kale is gonna join this committee. Let us postpone, the item where we're gonna vote on this until the next meeting. And maybe the committee can together find out some of the truth of this.
Well, I mean,
Because-
I think the issue here is whether it's public or private.
Right.
Because I'm
Yeah, it's already been stated since February 2012. Homeowners associations are public. They do They have to follow ADA compliance in
Okay,
the state of Florida.
sir, let's,
I mean, it's-
Tammy, are you prepared to, with Mr. Kale?
If Mr. Kale is willing to help
Yeah,
and aid,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
I'm not willing to do this all single.
No,
handedly.
okay, and Mr.
And
Kale's
then-
already volunteered to be on the committee. Okay, so let's defer this until next board meeting, okay?
But again, I don't want to be responsible for telling this subdivision, this entire community of 4,500 homes or lots, A, if we're ADA compliant, if we're public or private, and if we have to
No.
comply with ADA. I think that's an attorney's job,
That's-
not a committee's job.
And I will definitely, inquire the attorney, but, if we have to have
an
the,
attorney that specializes in disability cases, a general attorney is not gonna specialize in this
Okay.
information.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if we had to have 4 lifts, okay, we need to further investigate this,
Or hire
okay?
a consultant.
Okay,
How about an ADA
okay,
consultant?
thank
Well,
you.
that's another idea.
An
I mean,
ADA
do we-
consultant
Do we have the
come
money to
in
get,
and-
hire an ADA consultant and or an ADA attorney?
Okay,
Because I'm
Forget
not
the
gonna be
attorneys, an
responsible.
ADA
I'm
consultant,
not.
we need somebody, a professional, to come in here and assess the problems to bring us to.
Okay, how
Isn't
about,
that what
I know,
Billy
it's the
said?
whole
Yeah.
problem. I know.
please, one at a time, Jen. That's what I was gonna suggest. Tammy, can you reach out to Sherry?
I don't have Sherry's contact information.
Okay.
I'd love to if somebody would give it.
If Bill can give,
Mr. Neal,
Mr. Neal,
Billy,
Mr. Neal, can you give Sherry's contact number to Tammy?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, okay. Can you reach out to her?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we've got the long-range planning. Thank you for your work. Can we have the long-range planning?
We don't have anything. We have a
Okay.
meeting on Monday at 10:30 if
Okay.
anybody wants to come.
Okay. Okay, we don't want to get through everything, but we are going to discussion a motion to approve a guest exception policy. This has been also something that we have deferred and deferred and deferred. I believe it was November, we voted that the board did have the authority to allow non-resident usage policy. We had a proposed policy that was sort of de facto being employed, I understand. People were told that, you know, if they were allowed into the facility by this, it could be rescinded. I have from our attorney a policy today, which is very similar to the policy that we discussed. The main thing about the policy, and the main thing about the policy that when the policy was cancelled, what used to happen was people would apply for variances, and, you know, one day it would be like, well, you know, I've got a sore thumb, and the next day, well, I've got a sore toe and I need a variance, and it was discriminatory. And it seems to me that was why it was cancelled. However, there are lots of families, lots of homes in this community where you have the homeowner being allowed the use of the facility, and you have other people in the house, part of the family, that cannot. You have a discrepancy between the renters and the homeowners. Now, I declare my interest here. I have a disabled daughter with Down syndrome who's 30 years old. She lives with us and she will always be our dependent. However, she can only use 30 guest passes a year. You have people for whatever reason of their own who are not married, who choose not to be married. One spouse, one partner is not allowed to use the facility. You have same-sex couples who now can marry under Florida law. Only one of them can use the facility. You have a lot of inequality that we need to address. we were advised by our previous attorney that the policy needed to be not a list of the people who could come in, it could be as open as possible, so we did not incur the accusation of discrimination. The policy is very much like the policy that's on the front desk. There are a few changes. I can read it out. In fact, I will read it out.
You know what, first of all, can I just make a point?
Yeah.
As I told you in my email at 4:30 this afternoon, I don't like getting things at the last minute like this. Last time I looked at this, the one was dated December 30th. All right, and you've been waiting since you put this agenda out. I've been waiting for this. I told you then, I don't like getting here and voting on something. You know, I get it when I get here. That's not how it's supposed to be. You know, I don't mind taking this home and reading it and doing it again the next month, but, you know, this seems to happen a lot.
Well, it used to happen a lot that items were just put on at the time of the agenda that nobody had a chance to look at.
Well,
I mean, this
okay, so, okay.
But this
I'm
is-
saying, I'm
this
saying
is-
that I don't like that, all right?
Okay.
We emailed Crew on 2/23, you emailed Mr. Crew, I know they've been pretty busy
Yeah.
with things for us,
They
I
have been.
understand that, I understand
Right.
that, okay? And then, to get something, what was the next thing, next
No.
one was, 4/2, you sent out an email to us, mentioning it, whatever was it said here. You know, and then today at 4:30, I tell you, you know what, if I don't have it, I'm not, you know, I want to see it tonight. You know, you said you're gonna have it printed out, well,
And you abstain.
you know, you have to.
It's not on the agenda.
It is on the agenda. It is
I
on
think
the
we can
agenda.
postpone it, you know.
It's old business number 1, it's on the agenda. It's on the agenda, and members after members have complained about this, that we just left this in limbo. As I say, right now, what is operating is the usage policy that we discussed.
Well, you looked at this already, it was a mistake. Non-owner
This-
resident usage policy, it's not for non-owners.
What?
This policy?
It's for non-owners, because owners have their own policy.
Well,
They
aren't
can
you an
come.
owner? And you just said that your daughter's.
I know, but she is a non-owner resident, isn't she? That's the definition of
You
it.
wouldn't convince me of that.
Okay, an owner is the person who has the voting interest. If you and your husband were not married, one of you would have the voting interest. The other person would be a non-owner resident.
What happens if the house, the property's in a trust?
Yeah,
Which one, the 30-year-old disabled daughter, the owner?
whoever.
Gotta stipulate this.
This is why this is a policy for people who are living in the house, who it is their official domicile, and are not covered. This is for people, and I'm going to say, you know, people like my daughter. There are people here, elderly people who have maybe a divorced child who's also elderly, who comes and who lives with them, and they don't have rights. Perhaps 2 sisters live in the house. Only one is the owner and has rights. The other one has 30 guest passes. I think this is a humane thing to do. We're only allowing this for a period of a year, then you have to renew it, so it's not forever. And it just applies to the people who are not covered under some other means, which is in the covenant.
Is this a policy, or is this gonna be a change of the covenant?
It's a policy.
A policy is not enforceable.
It's a policy.
I still maintain to just get it when you come to the meeting, to me, is inappropriate.
Well,
All right, you know, I think we should postpone it to the next meeting. I don't see any reason why we can't.
because people have waited for this for 15 months.
People have waited for 5 years for a handicap access before.
I agree, and we can keep pushing things down the road. You may certainly vote how you want. I mean, that's your right and
I
obligation.
don't have a
and-
problem with addressing the
Right.
issue, I have a problem with getting it when I get here.
Well, we were all in the same boat though, we didn't get it either until.
Well, yeah, I know that, so more people should be objecting.
Well, right now, in effect, is the policy that's very similar. What we're gonna do tonight, I hope, is to ratify and clarify the policy, because people are being granted access under this. I wasn't totally aware this was actually being used, the one we drafted way back after we voted to have a policy. This is to ratify a policy that is actually being used. Before I open it for discussion, I'm gonna ask for a motion. Do I have a motion?
If she has this marked, what's her name, I forget? Jill Crew confidential, that doesn't sound to me like something she was intending on us to.
It is. It is not confidential. They didn't take the marker off. It is a,
This is the only thing I've ever received from them that has that on there.
yes. Because initially she asked me to look it over, and then she said, distribute it.
So she asked you to look it over, but me as a board member didn't get one.
Within 5 minutes you did. Can I have a motion?
I think we should postpone it. I don't have a motion, I make a motion that we postpone it to the next regular scheduled board meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it is motion and seconded to postpone. Now it's discussion.
Beth Walter, 1948 Resort Street. I think everybody knows my position on this. And it's not that I'm against people being able to use the facility. I don't feel that the board has the authority to change who can use the facility. I would suggest you go in a different route, which is something I was researching. Instead of making a policy, why not research the current laws and go back to section 4 where it talks about the ease of use and refer to the current laws and update that part. It won't be changing the covenants. You're basically going to be following the federal and state laws, and it would change some of that.
This has been verified by the attorney. I feel that people have waited long enough for this.
Well, you're saying it's been verified by the attorney, but when I was on the board, the attorney told us that this section back in, let's see, section 4, power to the board, adopt and publish rules and regulations governing the use of the common areas and the facilities. That was governing the use of it, not who could use it. The only place it talks about who can use it is up in the front. And that's where it's so outdated because our documents are so old that I think you could actually redo that just by using the current laws that are in effect. Just a suggestion.
Yeah. Michelle Anker's,
That's the bylaws you're reading, right?
yeah, Michelle Anker's
Yes.
complaint about the policy in the past was that it was discriminatory. When we first mooted this issue, she said you cannot, as had been tried by the previous board, you can't list all the people that can come in. You have to make it non-discriminatory and more open. That's why we have this policy, and that's why the policy that we drafted at the end of the year was, it doesn't specify, you know, your stepson or your foster child or whatever it is. It is just somebody living in the house, a non-owner resident. And that was...
I'm just giving you a different way to go about it,
Well,
because I don't feel that...
Can I ask you a question, Deb?
Sure.
can the board make changes to the bylaws? Doesn't that have to be
No,
No.
the whole association?
yeah.
You still have to have the 50%
Right,
plus
right,
one.
okay.
It has to be approved by the federal government for any
Yeah.
government entity that has mortgages in this community.
Chrissy?
I was looking at the minutes and I just kind of scanned through them from all those ones that you guys approved, and I thought I noticed that you guys reactivated all of the variances that were previously given.
No.
Did I not do
No,
that?
no,
Okay.
no.
I was
What
gonna say,
we-
'cause if,
No, we were going to, and then we decided we would just vote to say we had the authority. We would do a provisional policy, which we put out, which actually seemed to have been being
well,
used.
I just read that, but I glanced through it. If I can find what I was reading
I
before,
know
I'll
what,
find it.
but no, we
No?
didn't.
Okay.
No,
I just
no.
thought I had read that, sorry.
Okay, the motion is to postpone.
Yes.
Yes.
Just one quick thing,
What?
most of us have seen the one that you say we're operating under now,
Mhm.
but you said there have been some changes, will you please tell us what those are?
Yeah, they're small changes. It is the expression, was changed from occupants who reside long-term in a house, because that was felt to not really specify that they be resident. The sense of it now is that these people who are gonna get the usage, they're non-owners, but they live in the home. So they have driver's licenses or they have IDs to prove that they're residents of the home. I could read this whole thing out. Do you want a copy of it?
I
I
thought you
would
made
like a
copies.
copy.
We did make copies.
Thank you.
A point of clarification. See, you're calling this non-owner residence. What happens when you've got two unmarried people who are both owners? They are both listed on the title to the property.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
apologize. I missed
Yeah,
that.
you're talking this about non-owner residents of the house.
Yes,
But it could be owners, residents of the house that are not married. It could be two residents of the house who are both listed on the title of the property. They are both owners.
right, but the policy is to address the one that isn't having the usage now.
Right, but it's still an owner. This is non-owner. So I think it's,
Well, but
It-
only one person is deemed to be the owner.
no, only one person is given the easements of enjoyment if they're not married. They're both still owners. I think the covenants say if two or more people own the property, only one gets usage. They're still all owners. So again, I think there needs to be some tweaking.
Yeah,
But their attorney looked it up.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what was wrong with the usage exception policy that was adopted and in place now?
The attorney didn't like the expression "who resides long-term in a house." A long-term occupants. This had to be somebody that was, really part of the family. I mean, it's lawyerese. It was lawyerese. It's
I think I would have to agree with Jan. We have a policy in place that's very, very close to what we're,
well, but here
What
we've
we're
got
trying
a
to do.
policy in place that wasn't voted on.
Never adopted.
It was never adopted. What we're trying to do is adopt
so
something.
it's been used illegally by
Well, it's
people to
been,
gain
it's
access.
been,
Yes.
But it's a
alright,
policy that's not enforced.
it's been
That's what I'm saying, it's
used.
been used
Right.
illegally to gain access.
So in fairness to the people who have been prevented from using the facility, I mean, we can certainly go back to the lawyer on that non-owner resident. We could call this,
Deeded owner, lease people listed on the lease. I mean, there's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people put their homes in trust, which they're non-deeded owners. So you can't, it's very vague. And the policy is not enforceable because it's not in the covenants.
Also, if somebody owns their house and they rent out 3 of their rooms, all of those renters would get use of the facility. That's not right either.
That's for children.
Yeah, let's just let everybody.
And then all of their kids, if they're renting a room, got kids, that they'd all be able to.
Let's just let them all.
Maybe they rented the room because they thought they had access to this. I mean, that might make a room in this home more appealing than another. I mean, I don't really have a problem with those people.
Motion is, I motion.
No, we have a motion.
Okay, the motion is to postpone. Please, let's have silence. The motion is to postpone discussion of the policy until the next meeting.
Postpone the motion to approve, that's what we're postponing.
To postpone them, yeah, the motion to approve, yeah, yeah.
Yes, accepting policy.
Okay. So those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay? What did you say, Mary?
Aye.
Okay, so 4-1. The motion to approve is deferred to the next meeting. The time now is 8:47 and the facility shuts in 13 minutes. So I think by...
Could we do the number 5? Could we skip to a new business one? Is that allowed?
Motion to suspend.
Okay.
Suspend
By
usage?
unanimous
Can we get that out in the mail?
By unanimous consent, all items except number 5, we will defer to another meeting.
Can you second that? I don't know.
No. Shut up.
Oh.
Okay. I hear no objection. So by unanimous consent, all of the items except number 5 will be moved to the next meeting. Number 5, motion to suspend usage for members whose account are over 90 days delinquent. Do you want to take this one? This is normal practice.
Right, this is normal practice. We do this every April.
Okay, make the motion.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure if you wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to suspend usage for members whose accounts are over 90 days delinquent.
Okay, I second that.
Second.
Discussion? No? You seconded it too?
Yeah.
I think I seconded, it doesn't matter,
Oh.
just somebody. Okay, it's motioned and seconded to suspend usage for members whose accounts are over 90 days delinquent. Those in favour?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. So the motion is passed to suspend usage for members whose accounts are over 90 days delinquent. 5-0. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn because we need to clear the room?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Okay, those in favour?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned 8:49.